Shadow Show.
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 Shadowing it.
I don't know how Amin actually experienced this because I imagine that on Thursdays he's watching basketball. But when I walked into the show today, I mean, I don't even know if you were here, but I was surprised by this. It was Jeremy, Tony, Roy, and Chris. And I'm watching a group of producers, and I'm like, so that's what gets them all to care about sports. A Jets-Texans game last night. Really, a Jets-Texans game. So look at how they argue and they fight and they deeply care about the Jets pass rush and what Hassan Reddick did. I'm like, so that's what it takes, a Thursday night football game that gets the Jets to 3-6 to second place in the standings.
These guys are trying to blame C.J. Stroud. That was such a game of just aggressive line play. That first half was one of the weirdest halves I've ever seen. Move the ball, move the ball, move the ball. Turnover. Move the ball, move the ball, move the ball. Turnover. Sack. The Dolphins, 9 sacks on the season. Guess how many sacks the Jets had last night?
8, yeah.
8. That was that's not on C.J. Stroud.
That's horrible.
This was like he could not breathe last night.
And it also goes to show you when you have your number 1 receiver who is once your number 3 receiver, and you have like Robert Woods and John Mechie out there trying to catch passes. Xavier Hutchinson trying to catch passes. Like, who do you throw to?
That's what I'm dealing with, Dan. They're trying to make excuses for C.J. Stroud.
I'm not making excuses.
Had nothing to do with the receivers.
That's not an excuse.
He couldn't breathe last night.
Why is that?
Offensive line problems and good defensive line for the Jets. It was just, what a crazy game. That game last night, the clash between the lines, every play, both sides of the ball, was great last night. Just the trenches. Last night was a game for the trenches.
I mean,
you're right. They do care.
I couldn't believe it. I was so very confused. And one of the reasons I'm confused is because our analysis in that sport, for all we talk about, is quarterback good if he win. Like like we can say what we want, but what last night revealed is, the defensive line that Aaron Rodgers was going to make a champion. That's what it looks like when it renders C.J. Stroud useless because half the season has eaten up his entire receiving core. And furthermore, when we saw him be good, he had those receivers. And now we're all like, Nico Collins, pretty important, giant number 1 receiver.
I don't think it's that complicated. I think you're trying to look too deep. It's simple what's going on here. Sophomore slump. Mm-hmm. It's just what happens with quarterbacks. It was predictable. I think anyone could see it happening. Sophomore slump.
And sophomores. It happens with sophomores, too.
Billy, you are kicking ass with God Bless Football. I saw you just come in here with it under your right arm because you were in a very important meeting. You were not even in the place I was in the eating area, where all of these guys could not have cared more about anything in sports than the 3-6 Jets. It was so strange.
They could go on a run, Dan. They could go on a run.
Dan. That's what you're missing. You're thinking it's 3-6 Jets. No, we're seeing there's a glimmer of hope in New York. All of a sudden, what if Aaron Rodgers, cayenne pepper water and all, turns the tide on this season? They're second place in the AFC East right now.
118 rating yesterday. Now he faces the Cardinals. The Cardinals have a bottom of the league pass defense. Like, don't let him get hot, because then you go to the Colts and Flacco right now is the quarterback, so you don't want to see that situation. It's the rare situation where you don't want to face the backup. You'd rather face the starter. But now he's the starter, and is Flacco going to be able to carry the weight of the world on his shoulders as a starter? It's easy when you're second fiddle. You come in and you play the song, and people are just happy to see the fiddler. But now that you're the first fiddler, do we want the second fiddler?
Billy, do you realize that one of the things God Bless Football has done to you, not unlike what it did, First Take did to Max Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith, is your takes are now twice as long on football as they used to be.
Got to fill.
All of them.
Got to fill. We started the Shadow Show early.
Yeah,
Got to stretch. Got to stretch and get us to that 9 o'clock hour. So I'm here. I'm just trying to fill. I'll give you.
I don't need
you want
you
a minute?
fill.
I'll give you 2.5. Let's get there.
No, I want a minute. No.
We're normally starting now. We started early today, so I'm just trying to get us there.
What I want from you is please give me 15 seconds instead of 115
Don't
seconds.
even get him started on the Garrett Wilson catch.
Don't I know it, by the way? That's been my life the last 2 days. It's like, hey, can you record this for the oral history, and then it's like, hey, can you record what you did but shorter? And it's like, okay, well, I guess. I mean, just tell me what you want me to say. I mean, you're asking me my experience here. I'm giving it to you. And if you want someone else's experience, don't ask me.
Short oral history, apparently.
No, I do.
Short oral history.
So what's happening? Are people getting cut out of the oral history?
I don't know, man. I got a text and it just said answer these 2 questions. It wasn't even an interview, technically. I was like, okay. And then it's like, hey, that was nice, just a little too long. I was like, okay. So I did it short. I'm like, oh, a little too short. A little in between here. And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever you want.
Wait a sec. There was no prompt like a person saying, "Hey, Billy, tell us about this." It was a text message.
Well, we don't need to get into nitty gritty.
Well, we're already there.
Well, I was
Billy,
here.
Billy,
I was
you
here
did this.
the other day.
Don't pretend like someone other than you just did this.
Wait, thank you. Finally,
He's
someone
a victim,
gets,
Dan.
Someone gets it. Finally,
He's been part of this show for a
Someone
long ass time, and then he gets 2 text messages. Hey, talking to your phone about something that happened 15 years ago.
Well, it's because truth be told, I was here. And then Dan and Stugotz took like 4 hours recording. And I was like, well, 2 questions. I've already been waiting for 2 hours. I went through an entire planning meeting for an hour. And I was like, my children need to get picked up from school. It's not. I don't know the practice of not picking up your children. I imagine they just let them out into the streets like feral cats. And I can't have my children running around like feral cats. They don't know how to find food and fend for themselves. They're still babies. Babies aren't that smart. I don't know if you know this. They can't figure out how to feed themselves. So if they're running around, they don't know where they live. They're not going to find their way back home. I mean, you're running around lost. We didn't even put their collars on them. No one's going to know where they belong.
What will a school do if I just don't show up?
I'm telling you.
Call the cops?
I think they just let them out in the street like cats.
They put a padlock on the door.
Yeah. I mean, there's no policy that says it in writing. They're not going to tell you up front. We just let them run around with the cats. But I imagine that's what happens. How did cats get there? I imagine the cat parents don't pick them up from the cat school on time.
I want to follow what Amin said. So they leave them in the school, lock the door so they can't get out, and just like you can get them tomorrow?
Oh, it's like that Target movie, Career Opportunities. Remember that one?
No.
You guys don't remember Career Opportunities? Dan, you remember Career Opportunities, right?
I'm thinking about
Dan?
ending yours.
Oh. Stretch.
God bless football.
The thing that I find funny about what's happening around here, is that we've got an oral history that is very popular. We've got another episode that is out today. Mike Ryan is calling it the spiciest one yet. I have noticed that in the first bits of this oral history, I have heard from none of the voices in this room. It's a Mike Ryan project, and what you guys are now accusing Mike Ryan of is just grabbing work parts without doing the interview or research. You're accusing Mike Ryan of
for the record, I didn't say that because I suspect what's coming on later is someone getting mad at me for something I allegedly did or said, and shenanigans.
Right, I can't relate to that at all.
I put my card down. I have played my shenanigans card because I saw Bobby Q was a little peeved yesterday, and I assume that's coming up at some point. So I'm going to plop down my shenanigans card right now before we even get to it. I'm putting the shenanigans card down right now.
Billy, Bobby
shenanigans.
Bobby Q
I play the
is,
shenanigans card. You can't.
Billy, Bobby
Do you have a
Q,
reverse? You don't have a reverse card. You can't play it.
Billy,
Sorry, buddy.
Bobby Q
What about a
is
skip
so
card?
Shenanigans.
Bobby Q is so mad at you.
Well.
Off air, you should hear what he says.
Off air.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat from the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the Wake up, let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
Because of the general daily shenanigans around here, we didn't have time yesterday to get to Karl Anthony Towns going for 44 against the Miami Heat. And you are an exceptional national basketball voice that, I want your thoughts on that, but the general shenanigans of what we've got around here, I still want your thoughts on how you feel when you see breakout around you a conversation about football where these guys can't stop talking about every permutation of Jets-Texans, including whether or not one of the greatest catches you've ever seen was actually in bounds or not. They could not stop talking about Jets-Texans, and I don't know, last night was not an interesting basketball night. Basketball's numbers are down. I think people are realizing the regular season doesn't mean a whole lot.
Dan, and you say that John Morant and them boys slapped up the Bucks in a big game, a statement game for the West and the East. You think we're not locked in on sports, Dan?
Well, I want to talk to about the Bucks because they looked confused, and Doc Rivers, that's a mess, man. Like, it's been a mess for a minute. Them falling behind the Celtics that way, like that, happened awfully fast, and it happened on Doc Rivers' watch after trading for Damian Lillard. But the problem is I can't get the rest of the group engaged where Amin is because Billy won't shut up about what's a catch and what's not a catch and 1 foot in and one ass cheek in. What? Was it a catch or was it not a catch?
It was ruled a catch, but I don't know.
Guys,
I mean,
it's clear. There was a shin down here. With Pickens, there wasn't a shin down. That's the difference.
No.
It's so clear. It couldn't be more clear.
Yeah, but, like, here's the thing about the feet situation, right? Like, if the heel of your foot lands in and then the tip of your foot rolls out, then you're ruled out of bounds. But if your shin rolls in and your leg continues to move and then your knee hits out, your shin is in. I don't know what a football catch is because, like, the George Pickens thing looked like more of a catch. And then I feel like there was an outrage, and then there was like, we can't have something like that again. And Garrett Wilson made one of the greatest plays that I've ever seen. Well, I don't know about an SB.
SB nominee, Play of the Year.
Play of the year?
Odell Beckham was nominated. Is that not on the Odell Beckham level of play right there?
No.
Slightly lower on the scale,
Well,
I think.
Wait a minute. A football thrown twice as far. Look, I've seen what I've seen from the receivers in this league that make me think that Garrett Wilson is an actual number one is that somehow that guy with one hand can catch a ball falling out of bounds and the ball doesn't move. The ball you've seen this from some receivers in the league right now. Amari Cooper's exceptional at it. Ball against helmet, ball's not moving as you slide 10 yards out of bounds and they call it a catch because with one hand, because you've got a talon that can grab a ball with one hand because of what human evolution is. But Odell Beckham's catch was better than that one. Billy doesn't even think this was a catch.
No, well, I said I think that it was a great play. It was ruled a catch. I'm not sure. Now, I think I have a solution that I'd like to run by you guys, and this is I want to call it the clock system, right? And I've just come up with this system right now, so granted it's a little rusty. Are we going to say that your actual arm is the little hand, and then your leg is the long hand of the clock, right?
What?
Because when we're doing this, I want to say Odell Beckham, depending on the angle that you look at, his catch was a 230. You know what I mean? His little arm was way back here at 2, and his leg was down like at 30, but almost back. It was because it's coming this way, so it's almost like a 2. It's almost like a 225. Like this is what we're looking at here, a 225 on the clock scale, right? Garrett Wilson
did the Jordan thing.
We're looking at like a 1230 at best. 225, way better than 1230. 1230 is almost like a straight line. 225, you're way back like this. That's a better catch on the clock scale.
Am I looking at this wrong? Because I'm looking at Odell Beckham. I'm saying that's 935.
It does look like 935.
Well, you're looking at the reverse angle.
And you're looking at the arm, the wrong arm. You got to look at the other
reverse
arm.
angle. Yeah, like you know how like it's like the camera angle. Then you're looking at like if you're as a broadcaster. If you're looking at it from one side of the field, you say left to right. But if someone's on the TV side, for example, and that's the opposite side of the field, you say right to left. So here's the thing. Some people have a completely inverse memory of great moments in sporting history based on how they're watching it. Same thing in baseball. If you're watching from the outfield, it's like, oh, my God, I saw the ball flying. It was coming right at me. It's like, no, I saw the ball flying away from me. Wild.
So, like, the people who were at Game 1 of the World Series saw Freddie Freeman's teeth, whereas I saw the back of his head.
Yeah. But anyways, the catch,
just like that.
What you were saying, incredible play. I have no idea if it was a catch or not, but I feel like after Sunday with George Pickens, the NFL was kind of like, we can't have another debate about this. That's a catch.
The question that the NFL has to answer, and I'll bring my knee up for this.
Oh.
Where does the knee end and the shin start?
Well,
That's what we're arguing here.
Pretty obvious right there.
That's the thing. Like that. What's that middle portion?
What is this?
That's a good question.
That's your shin right there.
What is this?
I gotta feel it
For the audio audience, I'm pointing at a spot on my knee.
A lot of freckles.
Just below.
It's good video
just
work.
below the
Look,
knee.
Look.
Well, you just said you're pointing at your knee, so I think you've classified that as your knee.
I said just below the knee, so it's the shin.
It's
Damn
the
it!
shin, yeah.
Yeah, it is a confusing question
Hey,
that Chris
stop
is
zooming.
asking. The whole point of
freckles?
this video is to get the joke of the freckles. It's a lot of freckles.
That was not the joke.
I thought that's all we were going
You
for
still think it's
there.
fine shaming freckles. You
Wait,
always have.
Chris, I've never seen that many freckles on that small of a surface area of human body in my life. You're
Hey, relax yourself.
I'm just saying.
It's a big surface area. Wait, you talking about my knee?
Yes.
Oh.
Are you bragging about having fat knees? What's going on here?
Fees.
Put it on the poll. Has cancel culture made it impossible now to make fun of freckles?
For Dan.
Because
like a leopard.
I thought the whole video joke we were going for there is, wow, that's 100 dots racing each other across his pale leg to get to what he's identifying as maybe his knee or below the knee. I just want to go back for a second, though, because we do analyze every microscopic portion of this game. Billy didn't realize as he was doing this, because Billy's chasing around kids and may not have noticed
scale.
some of the places where he ages out. There's a whole bunch of people listening right now who have never seen a clock the way that you're describing that.
Yeah, that's right. Kids in school right now,
Is that so?
they're not taught an actual
hold
clock. They
on.
use a digital clock.
Hold on, they still got a clock in the center of the room.
But no one's teaching them how to use it.
No, they know.
That's
though,
just
'cause
a
they're like,
decoration.
the bell's
I mean,
about
you're
to go.
waving me off. What do you mean?
Decoration.
Tony, I'm telling you, these classrooms have digital clocks.
No.
Yep.
Like,
They
you-
took away the stick clocks?
You could set the face of your your Apple Watch to one of
I'm
those.
not saying that you can't seek it out and learn it. I'm saying we're not teaching it anymore. That digital clocks are going to rate. There are people listening to you right now that don't know what you're talking about. And I thought it looked like 11:30 on the clock. The Odell Beckham clock is even better than I thought it was. 11:25 is the Beckham clock, and he looks that Beckham catch I'm now seeing in retrospect a good deal better than the one I saw last night.
Wait a second. Are you telling me we're losing recipes? That's what's happening.
We're
here?
losing the recipes. Speaking of which, I mean, because I did want to get serious for a moment.
It's fun while it lasted, boys.
Bob Costas was on with us yesterday, and because people don't respect the past and history, Billy Gill most
Disrespectful.
among them.
falsehoods.
Bob Costas has been a broadcaster who has been the very top of the profession for 40 years, talking about everything from sports to other things, because he could have had all those journalism jobs, all the Nightline, 60 Minutes. He was not just a sports guy. He was somebody who had worldviews for 40 years. He's been good on all subject matter.
I bet you he still has an analog clock.
For sure, in the study.
That's rude.
It's a library.
In the library. He surprised me yesterday when he went after Billy Gill, and now there's genuine feud here because I was really taken aback by this. Billy, I don't know how this information got to you, but he somehow had
You guys put it on the internet.
No,
and tagged me.
We didn't bring you up to him, though. He brought you up to us.
Yeah, so this is the part that I want to set some of this up for a second because I didn't know that I've talked to Bob Costas some, but I did not know that he was the level of angry that he was when he did what he did here, where he was referencing something that I had no idea that how it got back to him, unless it must have been the poll question of that Billy suggested that he used to be Robert Quinlan Costas and that in grade school he forced the other kids to call him Robert. Robbie Q.
Just a joke.
Bobby Q, I think, in Billy's defense.
Okay.
It's just a joke. It's
Right.
Not a big deal.
But wasn't
you
there-
just say a joke and you keep it moving. Exactly
That's
right.
what I've thought how this works, but it
Okay,
doesn't.
but so if that had gotten to him alone, though, he would have no reason to be that mad. It is just a joke. Unless you went back and listened to the show and heard everything you guys were doing around it when you were disrespectful of the entirety of his career. You and Stugotz were.
No. Now I'm piecing together how this went because I don't think that Bob Costas went back to listen to a 4-hour show. I'm thinking Bob Costas saw a poll and sent a little text or a call to his friend Daniel and said, Daniel, what's going on here? What's this poll about? While he was there in his smoking jacket and his pipe, he's like, what's this all about, Daniel? And then you said, oh, Billy and Stugotz spent 4 hours disrespecting your career. And if memory serves, and I'm not in this to get into a back and forth with Bob Costas, I think that we should celebrate his great career today. He announced yesterday that he was retiring. Not on this show.
No,
he announced
exactly.
later that he's retiring.
That's the part, Billy, sorry to cut you off. That's the part we should be talking about, is that Bob Costas came on the show.
Friend of the show.
Gave us 25 strong minutes and never once said, by the way, adios. He went on another show to divulge that information. We could have used that.
Well,
Just on.
the point being, I feel like we should be celebrating Bob Costas today, the legendary broadcaster. He's stepping aside, retiring from broadcasting the game. Now, all that we did the day that this, incident occurred was discuss that there was social media reaction to the way the game was being called. That's all we did that day. That's all we said, and then we started going down the path, and then we did his middle name is a Q, it's Quinlan, and then we did the Bobby Q thing, which we've done before, not a big deal. Just a joke. We just joke around.
Okay,
have
it's
fun,
just a joke.
and we keep it moving. And then,
It's just a joke.
the way I experienced it, and granted, I don't want to look. I'm not professionally. It doesn't serve me to be in a war with Bob Costas. I'm not going to get in a war with Bob Costas. That's not what I'm here for. I'm sorry if what I said as a joke landed the wrong way and he got offended by it. However, the point of the joke was that he couldn't take a joke, and then he came on here and got very offended by the joke that we made and quote unquote roasted me. And that's fine, but I would say, in my meager defense, I think he proved my point.
Okay, and we will have
And I'm not getting in a back and forth with him.
more chances for you to continue your feud with Bob Costas that you don't
Non-existent
want
feud.
to have,
No,
right?
no,
That's not good for you in
no,
any
because
way.
Dan, here's the thing. I think that you like this. I think that you like us fighting with luminaries and people of note.
No.
I just will make a joke, and then all of a sudden, let's put it on a billboard. And then if this continues, there's going to be a billboard outside of Bob Costas' house, which I do not want. I didn't want one with Josh Allen. I just, we're like a comedy sports hybrid, like a mishmash. You put us in there, you shake us up, and then you never know what's going to come out. Exactly right. Toss a little lime in there, and you enjoy. Maybe some Smirnoff, whatever you're. Pick your poison. Not that Smirnoff's poison. I would not suggest that. So don't even go and then put that. Pick your poison.
All right.
Throw it in there.
What?
You enjoy
that
it.
right
That's what I like to
there,
do. And
that
then you're
right
here, and
there.
you're like, let's have everybody fight with each other.
Okay, so
Like feral cats.
Putting Cuervo
Children
in
who haven't
mine.
been picked up by their parents.
okay,
So
I'm
full circle. Listen to the Shadow Show, people. You'll get it.
all right. You are supposed to be protecting our corporate sponsorships.
I'm trying.
I'm going to have to penalize you for what just happened there. I'm sorry to do this to you. I think you understand what you did wrong there.
I covered my
Minor penalty,
tracks.
2 minutes, stumbling.
He really stumbled.
You're going to have to get out of the room there because, yes, you're going to have to leave now. But I'm going to...
Victory lap?
Not a victory lap. You're going to go sit in the penalty box for 2 minutes, even though I need your help here to escalate this to the proper way, because I'm going to throw Meadowlark budget at Billy trying to agitate Bob Costas from the
Oh, my God.
shadows.
We're getting that billboard, huh?
Well, putting up something near Costas's house, but we got to be careful with this because this is an actual dangerous time for Costas to do what he did yesterday bravely, that I have some objection to and the audience does as well. But Bob Costas's ability to do 10 minutes on Trump without a hiccup yesterday, talking about things that a lot of people are talking about, but you're not hearing condensed for you in that bite-size way. For that to then become an argument about whether Kamala is center-left or not, as all I saw was a professional broadcaster for 40 years who, St. Louis baseball, conservative America at his core, was trying to get both sides into a reasonable place in the center to discuss what's happening right now. And people drag Costas for saying Kamala's not an ideal candidate. Whatever. He's just trying to get the other side to listen. Somewhere closer to the middle as the right and the left fly off into the extremes. And so what he did yesterday, the degree of difficulty of it, whether you agree with it or not, that's sort of irrelevant to me. A professional broadcaster who's been doing that well for 40 years, on the day he's retiring from baseball, a week before the election, is doing 10 minutes that people need to hear, because a lot of people don't make up their minds on this stuff until the last week, and that's why LeBron's out here now putting out commercials as the oldest player in the league, where you're like, is this his marketing department, or is this guy using the George Floyd voice because he knows that some people need to hear him right now a week before this election?
First of all, I think you're absolutely right about Bob. Regardless of what he said, the craftsmanship of how he said it, that was the most shocking thing, because I'm watching him go, and he's barely pausing to take a breath, let alone any sort of misspeak or
no hiccups.
miswords.
A man who covered the Olympics live. Like, this is the part that Billy and Stugotz disrespected, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to go there with them, as they say I'm trying to escalate things. No. What happened with Bob Costas yesterday, and this is the part that surprised me, he gave you his resume on things he's done, because on this show, the people don't seem to know what the resume actually is. Like, that's what surprised me about what Bob did yesterday, where he goes straight to, I've been on Conan O'Brien, I've been on Letterman.
Pootie Tang,
basketball, but respectfully, we dropped the ball there. He is elite at not missing a step. We are elite at missing all the steps, because when he was rattling off the bona fides, anybody with a button should have hit look at me, Louie. That was
He was cooking, though. He was cooking.
He was cooking, but he was also
would have rattled him.
Looking at me,
yes.
Louie.
Well, let's listen to this sound, because this is not instigated by me, and this is not me talking to Bob Costas off air. I didn't know he was going to do any of this.
The prompt was us just asking, is it a den or is it a study?
I want the sound of him going after Billy. It surprised me, and not just because in the middle of it, Fat Prince, Elton John, Austin No Powers is in the middle of executive producing.
You know, by the way, I don't know who to pin this on, but one of your limited frame of reference peanut gallery guys, and the only reason I know this is because sometimes I follow you, Dan, said at one point, you know, I don't even know why he's called Bob. He's the kind of guy that really should have been, even in grade school, would have demanded that he be called Robert. This is what happens when you don't know jack shit, okay? Saturday Night Live, Letterman, Leno, Carson, Conan, basketball, Pootie Tang, The Paper.
Yes.
You know, if somebody knew as little, even if they were 20 years old, knew as little about baseball history, and then was talking about last night's game with no frame of reference, they'd be laughed out of the room. You know, laughter, that kind of thing that humorless people supposedly have no grasp of. You know what I'm talking about? You know?
Yeah. Forgot about Pootie Tang.
I forgot about Pootie
We'll
Tang.
never forget about basketball.
That is Billy Gill. I'm disappointed that Billy's not here. I mean, I know where the objections are, because every time, as this is the divided America we live in, every single time Bob Costas comes out every couple of months to talk about this stuff, because it's an important time in America. And even though he worked in the sports department, that guy's always been a journalist, not just a broadcast journalist. He's conducted himself with the sensibilities of somebody who has print journalism credentials, and he's one of the best to ever do it. He just got shitty retirement in baseball, because all of the people in baseball are like, it's too slow, we want it different now. So you get the shitty ending there, and he retires yesterday. But a week before the election, he comes on and he does 10 minutes of that guy's hosted the Olympics live. And it was a pleasure to just listen to my own show. Like, listen to somebody who's just to sit here and listen to somebody who at important times in America has come out of the playpen to do journalistic things. He did a live interview with Sandusky at a time, just put him on the air at the time that we're in the middle of the biggest sports scandal in our careers, and it's not top 10 things he's done in his career on television. So he's not going to get the applauded ending that he deserves, especially if he's going to get out there during political times. But whatever it is that he said yesterday that people were objecting to, because we've gotten further left and further right, He's just trying to meet people somewhere in the middle on, hey, it can't be this lunatic. Like, what we can argue about all sorts of things and split all sorts of hairs and make it about even women's rights or the rights of minorities. He's just in the middle saying, look, whatever you think of the other side, think it bad in all the ways that you want. You got to vote against this. This thing needs to be voted against. And there aren't enough people saying it now as the billionaires run for their lives because they're afraid of what's going to happen if Trump gets into power and starts punishing them. Like, you can't have everybody running scared of Trump, and he's just communicating at a time that I thought cut through it. Like, you could sit here and yell all you want about whether Kamala is center left or not. We've moved the center, man. It's obvious we've moved the center.
Billy, response?
To the Kamala stuff?
No, to Bob
Costas.
What about him? I said he had a great career. I never said he didn't have a great career. I never came after his credentials.
Then why is he doing that?
I don't know.
Well,
I mean, I think he knew he was retiring. I don't think it has anything to do with me.
No, you did come after one specific part of his credentials because that's what he presented. He didn't say World Series or Olympics.
Who is he saying of that person doesn't know jack shit? That's directed at someone here.
Billy.
That wasn't directed at the internet. It was directed.
He said someone in the peanut gallery.
Yeah,
he didn't say me specifically. You threw my name out there. If I saw the clip correctly, you said that.
But who
Billy
is
Gill.
it then? If it's
could
not,
be anyone.
You did make the he should be called Robert joke, no?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that was the joke that you made.
That's what he's pointing to. He's presenting the comedy bona fides, not like the entire bona fides. So we're not talking about his career. We're talking about his comedic career, which isn't quite as large or heralded as his sports career or his journalism career. But that's what Billy was
But he didn't play
questioning.
Pootie Tang. He played Bob Costas.
That's a good point. But he was doing a comedic role. He was doing a comedic version of Bob Costas, as he was on Carson.
Do you feel like Bob Costas or Robert that he condescended you by giving you his resume? He made you Peanut Gallery, and he's Conan, Letterman, Leno. He ticked them all off. They're all the late night shows.
I think it was an emotional day for him. He was retiring. That's.
What about?
I'm not. Look. If that was.
Whoa.
It's an emotional time.
It's all right. It's hard on
44
all of us.
Jack shit.
Look.
$5.
Look. To Bob.
No, to you.
Oh,
you,
okay.
you coughed
He
in
retired.
the
I didn't know.
microphone.
So look. If he was emotional yesterday and that's why he attacked me, that's fine. It was. I'll turn the other cheek. That's fine.
Okay.
I appreciate. He had a greater career than I will ever have. I acknowledge that.
In hindsight, it makes sense he didn't answer the study or den question because he was just an emotional day.
Well, now we didn't get that news though. You guys are blaming him because I didn't ask the question.
I'll take it. That's on me. Hands up. I did that.
He did 10 minutes on Trump and started it with, well, since you asked, I didn't ask whether his career was over. I did not. He may have answered it. It's a failure of journalism on my part, is it not?
We didn't ask him, hey, how much longer you're going to do this? That's what we should have asked?
Why would you ask someone that? Because that's such a rude question. Unless you have an inkling someone's going to retire, it's basically like, are you saying that I'm not good at my job? Are you saying that I'm old? Are you saying I should leave? Like, that's not how you should
But that's what
treat
the internet
someone
was.
respectfully.
But that's what the internet was doing to him while he was calling these games.
The question we could have asked him that might have led to him is like, what'd you make of all the, the Twitter were coming after you, the criticisms of your broadcasting? I thought maybe that could have, but it was we didn't have, he went on forever about the politics stuff. I mean, he's like, all right, if you insist, and he talked for 28 minutes.
It was, yes, and a lot of people got bothered by that. As someone who was properly appreciative yesterday of the fact that we're talking to Bob Woodward, because you know all of the history of that, and you know all of the history of that as somebody who's coming to this country and learning how valuable that freedom is and how it must be protected by journalistic freedom. You had more respect for Bob Woodward being on the show than anyone here who grew up. It grew up around newspapers are responsible for a lot of the money in that room because of what it is that we have built down here. Woodward, you appreciated what was being done there, or who we were talking to there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I didn't really think of it from the standpoint of you people don't value freedom and all that. I just thought about it like me in school. We had to watch All the President's Men in like history or social studies or something like that. This is one of the seminal moments in American history where the press, the fifth estate, if you will, or fourth estate, whatever estate it is. I don't know. How many states do we have? Too many estates.
It's not
50 states.
It's not the.
That's it. That's the one.
It's not.
But this brought down the president of the United States, which, Dan, you know this very well. In a lot of countries, that's absurd.
That's correct.
That a newspaper guy can
That's
write
correct.
something, or two newspaper guys can write something that would end a presidency. Unheard of in many parts of the world, many of which are democratic nations. But it happened here. And like I said, that isn't a big news story or journalism story. That is American history.
Correct, but when you say that and we don't respect American history, because this is fairly flabbergasting, and it's one of the things that I find myself fighting against right now. The Washington Post right now is under it. Think about what Amin just said about what the Washington Post once did. Toppled a president. And now look at where we are. Trump and his billionaire cronies want to topple the press so that no one can call them on anything, and so that Elon Musk can be running as currency your information system because he bought a toy for $44 billion and wants to be the most popular high school kid, more popular than Zuckerberg, as they overrule, overrun, and decimate the press.
But Dan, so this is the part where I feel like I'm taking an unpopular stance. But when I read the Jeff Bezos open letter, there's a part of me that's like, I kind of get it. I kind of get what he's saying, right? Because you're saying Trump and his cronies are trying to do it. I would argue they've already done it. We're already at a place where nobody believes anything unless it came in the form of an infographic on Instagram or a podcast clip where a bunch of people start just spewing out their theories, unresearched, uninformed, ignorant theories have more legs than the Washington Post for many people. And that's the scary part. And like what Bezos was trying to say is, yeah, I'm trying to correct that. We're trying to get away from things that make people automatically dismiss anything that we say that is journalistic and factual and objective. So we're trying to curtail on this particular very, very high radioactivity feature, which is the, hey, vote for this person because the other guy's a moron.
I get that, and I get that you can hide your corporate business interests in any kind of noble camouflage as you allow the money to contaminate editorial. What I'm telling you that I'm longing for, and I understand it's nostalgic, is a time where you could trust your local newspaper to be a representative community voice for what it is that you think. The divided politics that we have now, many conservative people think of life in the arts and the business of journalism as being a liberal career, with good reason. I understand the many failures of the New York Times and the Washington Post, up to and including where it is they've decimated us on climate change because the media companies are also purchased by the oil. And we've done a very poor job of declaring a climate emergency right now. So I understand the business of this. But once you get into, oh, you're taking away the paper in Washington Post that did that to Watergate, and you're doing it with Bezos's help because he doesn't have the stomach for standing up to Trump and doesn't care about journalism, because why the bleep would Amazon care about journalism? The Washington Post exists for him as something that loses $77 million a year, so he doesn't have to pay taxes over there on anything he's doing with Amazon. It is a toy. It is not a journalism outfit. It's a toy that gives him power because he can say he owns the Washington Post. He doesn't care about journalism. Why would he?
I don't think he doesn't care about journalism. I do think that it's fair to say he cares about journalism up until the point where it affects him personally. But the one thing I'm going to say is, from the standpoint of Bezos, and you said he's doing this to the Washington Post that once toppled the presidency. The Washington Post toppled the presidency with objective factual reporting, not with an op-ed piece.
That's
An
correct.
op-ed piece didn't knock him out,
That's correct.
Nixon out. Journalism knocked it out.
That's right.
And so he's funding the journalism side and saying, at this point right here, we don't want to do the op-ed part. Now, what Pablo said, and a lot of Jeremy said in my ear yesterday, is when you have that kind of power, oftentimes it's not just what's reported, it's also what isn't being reported, what you choose not to report. And that's the part where our minds go wild a little bit.
The more I think about this, I think I have an above average size knee. Because I think if the knee is here and the shin is here, my knee goes far. I think I have
you're
a big,
bending it though.
I think I have a
Ashy.
no. I'm
Big
saying
cap.
like
If you
my
straighten it
kneecap,
out,
my knee.
straighten it
I have a
out.
Straighten it
damn
out.
big
Okay, do this.
kneecap.
Put your finger on where it's straightened out, and then
Like I think my kneecap goes from like here to like I got a big
Everybody's
kneecap.
kneecap goes from
Nah,
there to
mine's
there.
bigger than yours.
Have you guys ever seen, like, it's a portrait, but then when you zoom in, you realize it's made up of very little portraits?
how do they do that?
That's what his knee looks
All
like.
right, fine, Dan. I'll count the freckles.
You'll be here all day.
1, 2.
Watergate was easy. You should
Continue.
ask Woodward this question: what the hell is this part of Chris's leg?
Is that his knee or his shin?
Where does the shin start and where does the knee end?
Well,
A
the leg-
question as old as time.
well,
Sounds
the
like a
leg
barrel
bone
of laughs
connects
I
to the
missed
knee bone,
yesterday, huh?
Chris.
I kind of feel like the knee ends right where that dip happens, right below your knee. If you're touching your knee, you feel the kneecap.
Where your shin bone starts?
And then the shin bone starts, and it's like a shin guard. It's like this one big sheet of bone. I'm sure it doesn't look like that in real
I
life.
think the internet just saw my balls. The leg bone's connected to the
knee bone.
Yeah.
I had
Knee bone
video in my ear being like, "Get your knee down,
Lou-
quick, quick,
no,
quick!"
Wait a minute.
No.
Lewis has been
Wait
going for
a
that
minute.
for the first 20 minutes of the show. I've heard Lewis say 3 times I was trying to get the balls.
I think he did, and then he panicked.
Well, because he's an idiot. Like, what? Have you guys not figured this out yet?
Also, Chris having his leg at 12 o'clock or 15
What
or whatever.
time was
That's
my
what's up
leg
there.
at?
Well, where's
Really?
your arm?
There
Yeah.
go the balls again.
You need
Shit.
the arm.
Telling you, the balls are
Put the
they're
arm
there.
up, Chris. Put
I
the arm
mean, was it super
5:45.
important for you to cite Jeremy in your head as a source
Yeah, really
yesterday?
weird.
when
You know
were
what?
trying-
You
'cause
know
no
what?
one would
You
have
know
known
what?
that.
You know what?
No, you
No,
gotta
be
I'm
accurate.
with
Pablo said
him.
it.
I'm
Jeremy
with
said
him.
it. My
I'm
head
with
said
him. No,
also.
You can't, you know what, minutes later.
He needed 2 sources.
Greg Cody, major penalty, 5 minutes.
It's just journalism.
It's a me maximum.
Wow.
It's a me maximum penalty. There was no reason for you to say the one comment I got from Jeremy in my ear. Now I'm doing a show just to credit Jeremy on something he said only to me that is only being repeated now because I'm stealing it. The single most inefficient way to do that.
It was
Hold
nice, but
Hold
not
on.
necessary.
It is the polar opposite of me maximum. Me.
Greg Cody, major penalty, 5 minutes. Me maximum.
Your Honor.
So let me be clear on this. So forever, I know this. Not claiming some shit is mine, giving the credit to where the credit is due. That's me maximum, right? Because I'm about to be the most humble motherfucker in the world now because everything is my idea now. Because I don't want to be me maximum. But heaven forbid, I give credit to someone else who had a very good point. No, me maximum means I'm giving credit to people. Okay, I'm about to be humble and never credit any of y'all. Guess what? I said that Bob Costas isn't funny.
I
How
did
about
give you
that?
a couple lines yesterday that you didn't credit me for.
What?
No. Well, I was
What?
too humble
Bob
to credit you.
Costas isn't funny.
I didn't
Yep.
say, for the record, when this
No,
gets-
Billy said that.
I didn't say that.
Humility.
I said we should be honoring your career, Mr. C. Like, I'm just saying that right now.
Hey, Kevin Millar, Bro Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that is true.
That's
He is
my,
right.
no, that's my point. I made that point. Nobody else has made that point. I'm humble.
The foot bone connected to the leg bone. The leg bone's connected to the knee bone.
You wanna see
The
my
knee
balls?
bone's connected to
Okay,
the-
you know
Put your
what?
knee up. Let me count your
Oh,
freckles.
okay,
No,
How many freckles you got?
You gotta get out of here. You
no,
definitely
no.
gotta get out of here.
Want to see my? Put that in the club, guys.
For ruining comedy. Greg Cody, major penalty, 5 minutes. Me maximum. Major penalty, 5 minutes. High sticking.
The whole game is conduct.
Major penalty, 5 minutes. Ruining comedy. Major
Out. Like, out for a long time.
What's
I-
the maximum
you
number of
do
people in
not-
hockey that can be off the ice?
Just look. You have crossed the line, man, when you're aggressively shouting after I've already told you that Lewis is an idiot for going in on freckled balls over here, threatening our audience with
They're not actually freckled. It's weird.
Really?
It's actually only where the sun shines.
I
You
don't
guys-
believe that.
I mean, I don't have a lot like on my belly.
How about on your ass?
Let me see your belly button.
I'll show you my ass.
No, you know what? You know what? No.
I think Bob was right.
You know what? This show, what he just did.
If you notice on the inside of my arm, much less than on the outside of my arm.
Oh,
That's where
wow.
the sun is more.
Hair also. Why is that? Does sun cause hair to grow?
Does it?
You guys didn't let me get to what I wanted to get to.
Vitamin
which
D.
is the LeBron James postseason ad and also Feisty Tua. Now we've run out of time.
We have another segment. We're doing Feisty Tua. After Ron McGill, we are doing Feisty Tua.
Okay.
Ooh, Ron McGill today.
Yes,
Ron
Ron
McGill
McGill
on a Friday.
We've also got Jim Trotter as well. But I don't know what to do. Billy, you're we just got done with a segment. I think it deserved all of those penalties where Amin aggressively shouted at the YouTube audience for some reason on a Friday with just truly terrible judgment. Here, cameras, come find my balls. Like that.
At least he said it as a question. Do you want to see my balls?
Like,
I think is what he said.
Like, honestly.
The answer's no.
No, a firm no.
Not for everyone.
There is all sorts of animal stuff that I want to get to. Always grateful for Ron McGill's time and flexibility. He joins us just about every week. It was supposed to be earlier this week, but we're happy to have him on a Friday. Thank you, Ron, for always making yourself available to our show and to our listeners. We've got some video to play for you in a second, but before we do that, I want to include you on a couple of conversations we were having before you got here. I like that there's a sense of anarchy among the producers who now work beneath and below and for Billy. They have now found video of Billy talking about Bob Costas in a way that may have made Bob Costas insane and may have gotten back to Bob Costas. So let's hear that sound for a second and see if Ron McGill has a verdict here on whether Bob Costas should or shouldn't be mad at Billy Gill. Calling Bob Costas Bobby.
I'm sure he was called Bobby in grade school. If anything, I'm reaching out to him as a friend, I would say.
Mm-hmm. So 65 years ago, you're referring to him as when he was 7 years old instead of 72.
Yeah, you don't think... Actually, you know what? If we're going to be honest, Bob Costas, when he was a child, made people call him Robert, right? Yeah. Like, for sure. Like, Robert Q. Costas or whatever his middle name is. 100%. He never wanted to be Bobby. I'm surprised he even allows people to call him Bob.
Ron, what are your thoughts there?
Don't ever call me Ronnie.
But Ronald.
No, that's even worse.
Wow.
It's just Ron, no Ronald, and no Ronnie. Ronnie was what my parents called me when I was, like I said, 6 years old. That was about it.
Is there an age in general where people cannot be called Ronnie anymore? Or is this just a Ron McGill
thing? I think once you're, once you're in the 4th, 5th, 6th grade, that's no more Ronnie.
Ronnie Cycli would like a word.
I don't.
He's a DJ.
That's a different Ronnie. That's R-O-N-Y. My Ronnie is R-O-N-N-I-E. That's no. Sorry.
The Y's better.
What's the distinction there?
The distinction is that Ronnie Cycli, that name is more of a Greek derivative than my name.
Ronnie Brown would like a word.
Ronnie Brewer.
Well, what if I called you Ronnie, but I was calling you N-N-Y Ronnie and not N-N-I-E Ronnie? But you don't know
then you'd be
the
calling me the
difference.
wrong name, wouldn't you?
Ron, can I ask you a question? In the spirit of Halloween, what animal is not one that can naturally camouflage? What animal is the best at disguising itself, potentially for attacking prey? Like, what animal maybe can make itself the smallest or blends in the best without a natural camouflage?
Octopus, for sure, no question.
When will Billy change his name to Bill? Is there an age when Billy Gill will become Bill?
Here you can ask.
He's not a Bill, though,
Bill
Dan.
Gill? I am asking.
William?
I'm not a Bill guy.
So
I'm a Billy.
He doesn't look like a Bill to me either. He's a Billy.
Thank you, I guess.
Thank you, Billy.
Hold on a sec. Wait a minute. Hold on. Is that an IE or NNY situation? What are we doing here, Ron?
I'm looking at the IE. No. Why? Billy IE is for Billie Jean King.
Billie Eilish.
Yeah, exactly.
Regardless, Billy, you're going to be Billy at 80. Billy will never become Bill.
I don't. I just live my life a quarter of a mile at a time. What am I thinking about that?
Would they call you Uncle Bill or Uncle Billy?
Billy. They call me like Dio Billy. I'm fine with that. I like it. What's wrong?
There you go. Well, you're good with that.
Why am I going to be ashamed of my name? I don't understand.
I'm not saying to be ashamed of it. I'm saying some people evolve a bit. Some people.
You see, but like this is not the way you're phrasing that, Ronnie. Is what you're doing. You're not trying to be actually nice here, and I see that grin on your face, and I see that you left in your Dracula teeth from last night, and a little bit of blood on your tongue, and you're still feeling frisky about what you were up to last night.
Billy, all I'm saying is that. I could never imagine Bob Costas as Bobby Costas.
Same.
You call
That's
Pat
exactly
Riley
what
Patty
I said.
Riley? You call Pat Riley Patty Riley?
No, I call him the Godfather because if you don't,
Okay, there you
you're
go.
blackballed in this town.
Uh-oh. Now you're going to feud with him, too?
I didn't. You see, I didn't know such thing. I'm here talking to Ron about animals camouflaging, and you're then bringing up old clips from weeks and months ago, and it's a whole thing. Someone brings up Pat Riley, and we're just talking about Halloween costumes and animals. That's all I'm here for. I'm here for a good time.
Bill, you know
not a long time, a good time.
Bill, you know what's going to happen now? We're going to have a billboard across in the Heat Arena. Call it like
please don't
Godfather in air quotes, and it's gonna
that
say
one we
Billy
could actually
Gill.
do because all we have to do is spray paint a sheet and hang it over the side.
Ron,
why did I say that? Because now that's going to be a thing.
We should do that.
See,
Ron, did you go to the Roncula well again last night?
No, Roncula's dead. Roncula's
What?
been dead.
I was gonna say,
He can never die.
Hold on,
That's the
Roncula's
whole
always
Somebody
dead,
stabbed
no?
you with a stake.
Roncula is dead.
Why?
Stake in the heart, silver bullet in the head, and he's dead.
Well, what are we up to now?
We're up to just Ron McGill. Ron. That's it.
Boy, are
Just
you
Ron.
okay? You going through
Wait,
something?
wait, wait.
Dan
wait,
didn't
wait,
dress
wait,
up.
wait,
Ron
wait,
didn't
wait,
dress up.
wait,
What's going on with
Wait,
you?
Dan
Dressed up in
didn't
your
dress
zoo
up?
uniform?
Billy, Dan didn't dress up yesterday.
Why? At night you dressed up.
Hell yeah.
I don't like to dress up.
Don't bullshit a bullshit.
Gaslighting
Dan,
us,
the
Dan.
luchador was pretty good. Dan, the luchador was pretty
Yeah,
good.
I lost a lot of grid of death punishments, and I paid my bills. Unlike people around here, I need to get something before we leave here today, legislated by you guys, on a punishment for Lucy, because you can't just not do a fine. Like that's
Very
not,
defiant.
Like that's not allowed. And so now I've got a problem with corporate because I want to take it out of her check. Like you're not
Well,
allowed.
that seems
I was
That's
on
crazy.
I was on
Harsh
that email,
situation.
and that didn't go over well.
that email. What do you mean that
what?
email? Wait, what do you mean that email?
We will get to that in a second. We will get a ruling on that in a second. Don't let me leave here without getting that ruling. But the breaking news of Roncula, the most sensual of McGill characters, with permission to be a debaucherous, gluttonous, sensual being. Roncula has been a hit at parties for 15 years that you steal and rob from your wife and your wife's day because you're so me maximum about being Roncula. Does Roncula die a death of ego because you've made Halloween about you for 15 years?
You done?
Ooh. See what I'm saying? He's feisty today.
Everybody's feisty this week. Man.
Why is Roncula dead? What happened? You're breaking giant news there.
Well, Roncula, first of all, doesn't go bald. Roncula doesn't have a pot belly. Roncula doesn't get old. Ron McGill does. He's dead.
I think that there's a possibility of an evolution here on. Like, I think you said that I wouldn't evolve. I think there's an evolution here because, like, you can very well bring Roncula back, but now it's a different Roncula because it's a zombie Roncula. So you're now a zombie vampire when you come back. Hop on the Peloton, do a couple classes with Kendall Toole or whatever, right? And then you come back, you lose the belly, and boom, Roncula, vampire.
The purpose of Roncula was not to be a zombie. The purpose of
Zombie.
Roncula was the Prince of Darkness, the lover
there.
of the night.
Bite the necks.
Yeah, there you go. And
My
there's
man,
nothing
hell yeah,
sexier
Ron,
than-
fist me.
There's
Baby.
There's nothing sexier than a woman's neck, especially the back of her neck. The back of a woman's neck to me is just like, oh
Me and
my
Ron.
God. There's a scent there.
Freaky.
There's just an aura about a woman on the back of her neck. that is just,
Ron, fist me.
Vroom.
Fist me, Ron.
All right, enough, everybody.
There you go, buddy.
Let's
There you
all
go.
There you go.
okay.
Oh,
let's-
yeah,
come
the first
on.
time.
No, please.
Well, how's your uncle?
After he threatened us with his balls, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing as a show. Ron, I've got some video here to play for you, but I also don't want to leave here today without playing the Feisty Tua sound. We have not talked enough about what's going on locally with sports the last couple of days. What is going on, Chris Cody? Why do you love this sound from Feisty Tua so much? Because I've not heard the sound yet.
Now, this is Tua being asked about the Dolphins. One of their biggest issues all year has been snaps on shotguns. And there's whether Tua's looking away, the other quarterback's looking away, the snapper just snapping it, the quarterback's unable to catch it. It's been an issue all year. And the media asking Tua, he had a bad one last week. So Tua's asked here about catching snaps, and he kind of, for some reason, goes after fans.
I have pretty good vision. I have pretty good hands. I mean, I'd like to see a lot of other people go in the back there and try to catch that ball too. You've seen it wasn't Brew's best, and Brew knows he can get it better, but it wasn't my best as well. But I'm just saying, to give perspective, it's not as easy as what it looked like. Sitting down on your couch eating chips.
oh,
What's dismount? Jeez. Why is it coming after me? Hey, Tua, catch the ball. You said you have good hands. It's what you started the clip with. And you're blaming your center? I mean, who's just shilling out blame? It was the center, not his best day. Not my best day either, but hey, you enjoy those chips? I do enjoy those chips. And you know what I see when I eat these chips? I see shitty football. That's what I see.
No.
Get it together, Tua. No, this is ridiculous. I'm a Tua supporter. This is ridiculous. That's a ridiculous take from him. Hey, Tua, I'll eat less chips. You catch the ball. Deal? This Sunday. We'll see if it happens.
Wait a minute, that's not a deal. You will not eat
will.
less chips.
This
No, you
Sunday,
will not.
for
No,
one
no,
Sunday.
I don't believe
For
you.
one Sunday.
I don't believe you.
Because I got some sour cream and cheddar ruffles waiting for me. I'm only going to go in for like 3 handfuls.
The orange bag.
I'm only going in for 3 handfuls. All right, less chips for me. Catch the damn ball, Tua. How about that?
You know what?
Don't blame your
You know
center.
what? I'm going to side with Chris Cody on this. And Tua, don't chip shame me when you guys can't win a playoff game.
Thank you.
Never mind a chip.
Thank you. Think about the chips that I wouldn't have eaten if I was just like, I'm not eating chips till they win a playoff game. I wouldn't have had a chip since I was 8.
Why is he chip shaming us for loving chips? I will not have him punish us for being people who love chips. Like what? We can't criticize the game while eating chips. We got to do one or the other.
You know what? He's right. No chips till ships. No chips till ships. No chips till ships. We need more than 2 of us. No chips till ships. No chips till. Who's it? Jeremy? Damn it.
That's a good band. Tua. Just Tua. You could just serenade Tua. Ron, are you mad at the Dolphins?
I'm disappointed in the Dolphins. I keep, having this great hope and great things that are going to happen, and then, it's just disappointment after disappointment. Gosh, I came here in '72. Okay, that's when I moved to Miami. I got to meet those guys. And you got to feel that. Even when we weren't going to the Super Bowl, you still had great games. You had great competitors. I guess I'm old and I'm spoiled. The Marino days were very inspiring. There were some great things there. And then we got a great team. We got great talent. They're just not able to seem to mesh at the right time. And that's just frustrating. As a fan, as a person who just, bleeds Miami, it's very frustrating for me.
Let me remind the people this segment is presented by LinkedIn Jobs. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/prep. Terms and conditions apply.
Let's get to some video here with Ron McGill. Ron, can you give me some play-by-play here on a video I saw? I have not seen this kind of animal before, and somebody was pointing out, why is it that we are looking for the mysterious Bigfoot when this is a real creature that exists in the wild? Do some play-by-play for us here on what you're watching.
Okay. We're looking at big male orangutan. Yeah. Big cheek pads. You see those cheek pads? This is the largest arboreal animal in the world, even though this guy's down. He spots you. He sees him go, who's this? Who's this in my jungle? Don't get close to me. This is my jungle. And he owes those cheek pads. That's something that dominant males will get, not the females. Okay, if you want to give me gifts, you can stay. Okay, stay, get your pictures, get a little more gifts, and that's what he's doing. He's showing his size. From fingertip to fingertip, the wingspan on that animal is over 8 feet. Okay, they can grow to over 300 pounds. They make this great guttural sound. They kind of go.
You got to be a little more. You got to be a little more discerning with just eating the first thing tossed to you, though. No, it's like what I learned with Halloween candy last night. You got to be. Someone tossed the orangutan something. He just ate it right away.
Well, you know what? He's a finely tuned eating machine, so he's asking for basically a toll there. If you're gonna pass by here, you're gonna get a shot at me. There's a payment that needs to be made. Make the payment, and you're okay. And they say, okay, here's the payment, and they throw the payment. He gets his payment, and he's okay. You get the pictures, and you get to be on the Le Batard Show. This is big. This is huge.
Ron, have you ever heard of there was an orangutan named Fu Manchu back in the day at a zoo that smuggled wire in its mouth and then used it to
open the lock.
Open the lock. And then did it every single day because the zookeepers did not realize that the orangutan had the wire in its mouth. That's
a very famous story about that orangutan. I've seen the orangutans here do that with sticks. They'll take sticks, they'll take blades of grass because they see the keepers put the key in there and they're trying to replicate that motion and think it's going to work. Fortunately, it doesn't work with sticks or blades of grass. But this orangutan actually seemed to be able to learn to pick the lock with a wire, which is better than most humans could do.
And not only that, but then when they confiscated the wire, it bribed other orangutans to give up their wire, the wire that they found. So
I didn't hear that. I mean, that's taken it to a whole other level, but I wouldn't put it past them. They're very intelligent animals.
Right. So that was my question. Was that abnormally intelligent behavior by that orangutan, or is that like, no, they're all pretty smart?
No, it's just like humans. That's an abnormally intelligent behavior, a learned behavior that it picked up. Listen, I couldn't do advanced trigonometry now if you paid me, and there's 12-year-olds that can run circles around me. So there are certain people that are smarter in certain other areas. Same thing with animals. There are certain animals that are definitely smarter than others as individuals.
I feel like we have like a sliding scale when it comes to intelligence, right? Because like if I as a human tried to stick a blade of grass in a lock, you would say you're dumb. But here we are, and we're like, that animal is so smart. And then even you were like very nice. You're like, yeah, he's a finely tuned eating machine, which for me was just like, he's gonna eat anything you give him.
That's not true. That's not true. They learn what not to eat in the jungle. Now, he may eat anything you give him as far as processed foods, anything with sugar that could be bad for him, just like you give it to a kid. But an orangutan in the jungle knows what plants to eat, what fruits to eat, and what fruits and plants not to eat. They're taught that by their parents as they're growing up, that these are toxic, these are not toxic, this is the time to eat this. It's incredible the type of knowledge is passed down from generation to generation.
How do they teach them that? Do they just they knock it out of their hands? Like, how do they know this is not something that you eat?
They will do that. I have seen them do that. I have seen, young orangs reach for something that is toxic, and you see the mother take it away, okay, in the wild. So they will do that. It's not as obvious as it would be like, one of our parents going, it's a very subtle movement sometimes, but these subtle movements, these subtle gestures that the parents make are picked up very quickly by the offspring.
Ron, you pride yourself on being somebody who is a protector. What is the most moved you've been by seeing a parent protect in the wild?
That's easy. That's the pride of the lion. That's quasi. Even though I was here at the zoo, but it's the same principle. I've seen it in the wild where mothers, here we had this female lioness who was probably 150 pounds less than the male. Male could have killed her in a heartbeat. This male went after her cub, and she went after that male in such a rage, such a fury, that male urinated all over himself and ran away because he was about to get his ass kicked by this female. Never screw with a mother. I mean, that's just something that I learned in the animal kingdom. The power of being a mother is so incredibly strong. And she saved that cub's life. He was going to kill that cub if she was not there. And like I said, if you look at that from the outside looking in, you see a massive lion, big mane, 100 pounds heavier than this female, and this female come in there and basically scare the urine out of him. It's pretty impressive.
Was he trying to kill the cub to eat it, or just because he was annoyed?
He was trying to kill the cub because it wasn't his cub. It wasn't his cub. Instinctively, lions will kill cubs that are not theirs for a couple of reasons. They want to make sure only their genes are passed on to the next generation, but also by killing the cub, the mother starts to lactate, starts to cycle again, so he can breed her.
Let's play another video here for Ron McGill. Ron, give us some play-by-play here on a bear jumping between wires here on a wired fence.
Okay. Oh, geez. Oh, that's serious. That's a grizzly coming at you. That grizzly's not playing. Okay, he's not playing.
Also, it doesn't seem to be affected by what looks like barbed wire fencing.
Cubs. Did you see the cubs? Did you see the cubs?
Yeah,
that's why she came at him. At the very beginning, you see the cubs run away. She's protecting her cubs. This is just what I was talking about. This power. See the cubs to the, these are the cubs to the right there. No, she said, don't get near my cubs. She's coming through that wire. She'll come through a brick wall if she has to, if she thinks there's a threat to her cubs.
She's abandoning her kids here. I mean, geez, wouldn't you stay with the kids and protect them? If my daughter's there,
abandoning her kids.
I would have like my arm around my daughter, and I'd be like, get away. I wouldn't leave my daughter and just start sprinting away and just like, bad parenting.
Yeah. This is what's called proactive protection, okay? When you come at something that fast with that kind of aggression, it doesn't have time to think, okay, I'm going to get those kids. It's like, and you run away. You see, that's the instinct that mother has. Be proactive. Be offensive before you have to be defensive.
In what world would a human being then raise their arms with that happening and say, hey, bear, and then hope that then disarms the bear? It's so scary to see a bear run at you, Ron.
Yep, Billy. Yes. I think I've said this many times. With a black bear, Florida black bear, that's what you would do. With a grizzly bear, you'd have a little bit more of an issue. With any bear with cubs, you're probably going to be in bad shape. Okay. There's no all black and white on this. You'll see that there's a great video online. I'm sure you guys have seen it already with this grizzly coming at these photographers. She's got no cubs, but he's coming at them just to try to scare them. And the photographers keep their ground. And at the very last second, this massive grizzly turns away because he's going, why aren't these people running away? Now, listen, I'm not gonna kid you. That took some major testicles to keep standing your ground while this grizzly's coming at you full ground. But watch the video. Look it up. You guys, I'm sure, you guys are whizzes at finding that stuff. There's this grizzly just coming right at these people in a like open riverbed, and all of a sudden, they don't move, they don't run, and that bear at the last second turns away like, damn, why didn't they run away? Proves my point.
All right, thank you for the major.
What are you doing?
They're doing major.
You mentioned major testicles, so I'm going
Ron,
for humor.
Good talking to you. Yes, Ron, thank you for being on with us. Executive producer in training, Chris Cody, ladies and gentlemen, thinks it's a good idea. Let me give him the freckled balls.
It's a callback.
Yeah,
that was awful.
See you later, Ron. Thank you for being
Take care,
on
guys.
The freckles go all the way down his balls?
No, he alleges that they do not. But
to just stop.
I'll show you off air.
Look, you're just as bad as him. Can I have the show back, please?
This bear ran right at the photographer, and then at the last minute just jukes away, and then Then the photographer gets bold and runs after the bear.
Oh, my
like,
God.
That's crazy. Dude, you got lucky that bear didn't kill you. Why are we playing with fire here?
Dude, I like the turning of the tables. I like that. Like, you know what?
Go on the
support it.
offensive.
Yep. Oh, the best defense is a
great
good
offense. Yep.
I mean, we're about to have on Jim Trotter. Jim Trotter settled his lawsuit with the NFL as a writer who stands up for some causes. And evidently, I don't know if you've seen this story, but he wrote a column for The Athletic. And I think I have this story right. He didn't like how it is that it was edited, even though it was a column about basically what happens on a Monday night telecast when you come on and you troll the audience by wearing a MAGA hat and then run off into the shadows and don't answer questions. I've got some questions for him about that column, but as we enter the last few days before what promises to be a tumultuous election that will probably last a couple of days at least after that, when you've got a presidential candidate who's not going to concede a result if he loses. We've got LeBron James now, oldest player in the league, responsible basically for 15 to 20 years of coverage that includes the bubble and George Floyd and the places where the NBA was being asked to lead and found it harder to lead in these times than the WNBA. We enter now the last couple of days of this tumult, and LeBron James, on a social media following that is substantive, has told last-minute voters, and I assume this part is strategic and calculated, somebody who learned how to do Trayvon Martin speaking out in his 30s is now a decade later, having seen 8 years of this particular brand of politics, he's entering the fray with something that might have been made by his team. I think it was made by his team, and is just telling you, here's who LeBron James endorses, or here's what he will not, under any circumstances, endorse.
All right. Heck yeah. It's cool. Black guy. That's one of my buddies. We had fun. We carved watermelons together. It was awesome.
No, I'm not a racist.
They're taking black jobs now. The whole country is going to be it'll be like Detroit. A lot of it's about the genes, isn't it? Don't you believe? They're poisoning the blood of our country. Troublemaker. These are troublemakers. Look, I love the old days, you know? Do you know what they used to do to guys like that when they were in a place like this? They'd be carried out on a stretcher, folks. Like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you. Now, if you had one really violent day, like one rough hour, and I mean real rough, the word will get out and it will end immediately. But we're going to indemnify police officers and law enforcement from being destroyed by the radical left. You're changing history, you're changing culture.
Of course I hate these people. And let's all hate these people, because maybe hate is what we need.
Yeah, I think he did it on his phone. That wasn't his team.
Just cut it together?
Yeah, some good editing.
Have his glasses on, like, oh, this would go really well right here.
Cap cut.
You guys don't believe he handled that himself, that he was interested in making an artistic statement on his own? Does it matter whether it's done by him or his marketing team?
No, I mean, I think, he tells them, hey, guys, I want to do something. And then they say, well, how about this? And he says, great. And then he posts it.
I picture they send him like 5, and he's like, I like this one.
He picked the music.
Like he chooses. He gets 5 sent to him. They're all around the same.
Hold on. Roy, you got him in the library of, like, the royalty-free music. Just nah, this one's a little too cheerful. Nah, this one's not quite dark enough.
That one's dramatic.
The one.
That's the one right there.
It only hit the 4 mark on the amount of quotes from Trump there that were exactly quotable by Hitler. So it hit the under for me.
Wow.
What happened to that game, Jeremy? I thought
I
we
played
were
it on
gonna
Because
play...
Miami instead because I got afraid of our audience who was telling me I'm not a Jew for supporting Tim Walz. So really good stuff happening on the internet these days.
Wait,
few days until the election, guys. You should really register to vote. Make sure you're out there.
You realize that we've only got, like, what, 2 more show days of this? And then life is going to get boring. What are we going to talk about?
It's not going to be 2 days. It's going to be
2
longer
days.
than 2 days.
Well, we can get into it then, all the quotes from Trump that are exactly the same as Hitler's. We'll do that next week, I guess.
You think they're going to be able to count all those votes on Tuesday?
Yeah.
Really?
Wednesday it'll be done.
And surely Trump will then just gracefully concede.
Yeah, just bow out. No giant day of violence or anything.
Sure.
Yeah.
Giant day of violence.
The one he talked about in that clip.
Well, but, okay, so Jeremy had a game. Who said it? Hitler or Trump?
That's a great game. Holy.
Guess what? The answer on all of them was going to be both.
I was shocked.
I'm tuning in to Because Miami, even though he just spoiled the game.
I mean,
You'll enjoy it. I'm good at producing.